Hi there, this is Angel Emperor. I finally found the sweet privacy to do my recording for the voice meme that I helped to create. Well, I didn't come up with the idea. I will claim no credit for that. I only helped out. Helped out making it. I'm going to be reading a key one, or Scribblestorm's fic Full House, the final act, Act 4. This is a wonderful, absolutely wonderful little cat fic, as it somehow came to be known. If you haven't read it and you've finished the series, go read it now. It is by far one of the best fics out there, just in general, because everything she writes is amazing. So I probably should start instead of rambling and probably making myself sound like an idiot. Yay, no self-confidence. So, here goes nothing, I guess. Alright. Full House, Act 4. While the games he played against many a nobleman were always predictable, the gambling den itself was not. Sometimes everything would go smoothly, and he would either slide into a seat in front of an untouched board, black, always, or take over a hopeless position, left by an inept player who didn't believe in second chances. Other times, the rooms would be double booked, and until a space opened up, he and Revels, or Rollo, would be forced to either wait or wander the halls. Occasionally, Lush would try the latter. Once he made his way past the poker tables and slot machines, drawn to a small crowd that congregated around a lanky man with a wide-brimmed hat and an even wider smile, standing behind a counter. His challenge was simple enough: find the queen. He showed them the queen of clubs that day, and placed it between two other cards, aces, hearts, and diamonds, before turning all three over and shuffling them across one another. The first few times the stakes were low, and the queen of clubs was always in the center, but on the last shuffle, after the exact same hand motions and a particularly drastic ante-up, she was just no longer there. "I saw what you did," Lush murmured to the man as soon as the crowd had dispersed. The man didn't look up from counting his take. During the last round, Lush picked up the cards without asking permission. "You did it differently. Instead of throwing the queen down, you did this." He pinned the card against his ring finger, allowing one of the aces to slide into its place instead. He let the queen fall and flipped it over, proving his point. There was nothing remarkable there. It was just a sleight of hand. "Could I?" the man chuckled and refuted nothing. "But it doesn't matter. Not everyone has that. And people only ever react to what they see." He took the cards back and thumbed them together in one hand, grinning the whole way. And then he laid them out on the table. The entire royal family, of the suit of clubs. Even if it's a lie. "Lush?" The memory fades and vanishes at the sound of that voice, and with a blink Lush turns away from the window. "Sorry," he says with a smile. "Did I wake you?" Suzaku shakes his head. Moonlight seeping through the glass sends soft shadows playing over the bare skin of his torso, his legs tangled in the sheets beneath. His wrists are tied above his head, cloth this time, looped around a column of the wooden headboard. "What are you doing over there?" "Just getting some air," Lush answers him truthfully. "Go back to sleep. I'll join you in a bit." But Suzaku merely shifts on the bed, as much as his bound wrists will allow, until he's lying on his back and facing the ceiling. He heaves a sigh, and then he doesn't speak for some time. "I had a dream. About Nunnally." Lush cracks a smile. "Oh?" He nods. "It was about the time we tried to make you a cake for your birthday. The servants at the house had no idea what half of those ingredients were, so we had to..." Suzaku laughs a bit fondly. "It was supposed to be a surprise." "Of course it was." He recalls peering through a crack in the kitchen that day, at the half-open bag of dry ingredients purchased from the market across town. There he was able to watch a 9-year-old boy ineptly following Nunnally's patient spoken instructions with flour and sugar and egg yolk smeared over his face and hands, for all of 30 seconds, before he realized that this was ridiculous and joined them in the kitchen. "But I appreciate it nonetheless, no? And you would have burned down the kitchen if I hadn't intervened." "Yeah." Suzaku isn't smiling. "I wish we could do that again." Lush drops his gaze. "Me too. There's no denying he wants to see his sister again. He wants to see what she looks like now, after 7 years, face to face, and not through a second-hand snapshot in a newspaper. He wants to hear her voice. Bringing her here will be difficult, if even possible at all. But he managed to do it with Suzaku, didn't he? Maybe if he can time it so that... Lilish, I didn't mean to kill her. He frowns, unsure of what to make of that for a few seconds. He crosses the room with long, quick strides, the moment he does, seating himself on the edge of the bed and taking Suzaku's face with his hands, tilting it towards the feeble light. His eyes are hazy, half-lidded with the pupils dilated, and while they seem to be focused on Lilish's face, he isn't quite sure what they see. Go back to sleep, Suzaku, he manages. Suzaku shakes his head again, weakly. I never should have let them equip the Freya. Go back to sleep, Suzaku. Lilish says loudly, tightly this time. I know you won't forgive me for what I did, he whispers. But I won't forgive myself either. But Lilish, if this is the only reason you're going through with this... Lilish sighs, staring down at his hands. He wonders, if he leaves the room, if Suzaku's hallucination will fall apart, or if it will simply be replaced by something else. Something more potent, perhaps? He wonders if this is part of the withdrawal process, or entire malady entirely. As far as he recalls, they never had this conversation. This? He probes carefully. Zero Requiem. Suzaku nods his head. Is there no other way? A small part of him almost wants to laugh. Having second thoughts? I'll do whatever you ask me to, comes the reply. I promise to do that much, but... Lilish pulls back. Suzaku! I don't want to kill you. For a long time, he just looks into Suzaku's eyes. He doesn't know whether to think that the earnestness he sees in them now may have one day, 7 years ago, been genuine. All that pain, all that regret, whether it's coming from somewhere important, or really just a side effect born of abusing refrain. If Suzaku is simply dreaming, he tells himself, well, it doesn't matter what he says, does it? Anything exchanged between them here and now will all be for naught in the morning, once the hallucination ends. That's how it works, right? It has to be. Lilish buries his face in his hands. And then he thinks of Rollo, and of the strange man running the 3-card Monte in the gambling den. When he pulls his hands away to reveal a smile, I'll think about it, Suzaku, alright? We've already come so far. Everything from here on was planned with the Demon Emperor's death in mind, but... It's odd. Lying, he's come to learn, is supposed to be much easier than this, especially when it's for some higher purpose. But he stifles the part of him that finds this sickening and goes on. Maybe we can figure something else out. I'll try. Let me sleep on it, alright? If anything, the way Suzaku finally relaxes, leaning into Lilish's hand on his head with a small sigh, is somehow worth the trouble. Thank you. He smiles. You'll think of something. Lilish's thumb goes over his brow. I don't know about that. You will. Suzaku smiles more broadly now, and his eyes slide shut. I trust you. And here Lilish can think of nothing to say that won't shatter the illusion, so he doesn't say anything at all. That morning, Suzaku wakes up to find Lilish sitting at the side table, blowing on a cup of tea, filling the air with the scent of lemons. He frowns when he notices his arms already untied. Did I hurt you? He asks immediately, to which Lilish shakes his head and flashes him a strange smile. No, Suzaku, not at all.